So today I'm going to give you a few exercises you can work on to improve your time without the use of a metronome. So why wouldn't you use a metronome? Well, metronomes are brilliant things. They are fantastic as a tool of diagnosis. They're very good at telling you what you're doing wrong. They're also very good for technical stuff, preparing a piece of music, that kind of stuff. However, you can become too dependent on a metronome. If you always play to a click, then you can't do anything else. Metronomes also have an aspect of kind of evening out everybody's time in sometimes not a good way. You can watch plenty of Rick Beato videos on that. It's one of his pet gripes, for instance. He talks about drummers not having elasticity within the beat and stuff like that. Sometimes the metronome can become a bit of a obsession. But that's not to say that you shouldn't practice with the metronome. Everybody should, but then I think everybody should also take some time to practice away from the metronome. And it's not like practicing with a metronome, just playing eighth notes or whatever, is necessarily going to improve your time or your feel or your rhythmic concept. It might help your technique, but it's not going to sort everything out. And these exercises are designed to help you do a bit of that, basically. First exercise I have is a real horrible one. It's a diagnosis tool. So I'm just going to record on voice memos on my computer me playing a melody. Might know this one. Okay. Now I deliberately did this a little bit shonkily, okay? not great, but believe you me, this is how I was doing this when I started doing this exercise. I don't know what doing off means, it sounds a bit wrong. When I started doing this exercise, this is basically what I used to do. So if I try playing rhythm through this, you can hear instantly ba-dee-da-dee, ba-dee-da-dee, ba-dee-da-dee. I'm jumping in on the beat, right? So let's do it a little bit slower. Okay. Okay. It might have been too fast to play rhythm with. That might have been why it was difficult. Let's try it a little slower. So, you see? So you might not be that extreme, but you can hear that I'm jumping in the phrases too early. And this is a very common problem with basically musicians, even sometimes quite advanced musicians, is not leaving enough space. Now in his book, Time Awareness for Musicians, Peter Erskine points out that basically it's much harder to keep time when you're not doing any playing or any singing or anything. So leaving the right length of gaps is actually much harder. You can also do this exercise with a loop pedal. It's fantastic with a loop pedal, and you can play solo improvisation and then leave gaps and then see if you can come back in on the beat or whether you've lost track of the beat and all this kind of stuff. And you can really get an idea of what you're like to play with, whether you speed up, slow down, have slightly shaky upbeats, whatever it is. You'll feel it when you play along with yourself. So this is a fantastic tool of diagnosis. You don't have to necessarily play along with yourself. You count through what you're doing. So if I count the beat or click the 2 and 4, you can hear all over the place that is, right away. Okay, so that's a fantastic exercise for working out what you're doing wrong. So if you're feeling a little braver, what you can do is you can start to sing a clave and then play to that. So for instance, I could do a 2-3 clave, song clave, da 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 da. I'm going to improvise a lot. I mean, you could go ba 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 ba. You could sing the clave with a head. Da 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 da. That's quite hard to do. Okay, but you can also improvise with the clave. So da 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 da. Okay, that was wrong. Da 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 da. Da 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 So that kind of gives you interesting accents. I mean, you can hear that I'm not 100% on it, but the interesting thing is when I do sing it correctly and let it lead my guitar playing, I think it creates some interesting phrasing ideas that kind of sound a bit more interesting as playing strings of eighth notes. So that's a good exercise. Another thing you can do is get like a very 4-y, by which I mean in 4/4 sort of exercise, like. Really test yourself by singing an odd time clave over the top of that. So I'm going to choose a 7 clave. Da 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 da. And this is an exercise that David Gilmour, the jazz guitarist, not the Pink Floyd guitar player, actually has in his My Music Masterclass thing, so you can have a look at that. So some of these are obviously well-known exercises all over the place. Generally, if an exercise is good, it gets used a lot with variations by different teachers, so it's not really plagiarism, honest, but you can take that exercise as far as you like. Obviously, you can also scat in 7 and play in 7. Da 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 da. Can't do it. I mean, maybe you can. Da 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 da. Okay. Da boom boom. And I mean, plus you can always have the opportunity to perhaps phrase in 7 over the top of 4, which is getting into some sort of Lenny Tristano type stuff. Groupings of 7 over 4 or groupings of 5 over 4, can create more rhythmic interest. People who do that in the contemporary jazz realm include obviously people like Kurt Rosenwinkel, who's heavily influenced by Lenny Tristano's ideas. Okay, so generally anything that promotes rhythmic independence is a good idea. So you could just do something as simple as like sing a bossa nova. Yeah, ba ba boom. Ba 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 dee do dee ba da do da dee do da ba do da ba da dee do dee da 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 do da 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 dee do da 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 do da da do da da dee do dee. Really hard not to let the guitar follow your singing or vice versa. It's obviously the art form that João Gilberto perfected. And now, of course, he's no longer with us. But he spent his 10,000 hours just doing that in a bathroom, apparently. So there you go. That's how that's the amount of time it can take to develop these skills. They're not easy. A useful phrasing idea for slow to medium sort of swing tempos is to use a triplet. In this case, quarter note triplet. So this basically one way you can practice is simply just by playing the guitar in 4. Da 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 dee da 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 da. So I mean, to break that rhythm down, it's both together. Then if we're tapping the triplet with our right hand, we go. So we go together, right, left, right, together. That's the coordination. And then that's the composite rhythm of both things. So da 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 da, both things together. Now to get that, you might want to count it. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, or 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1. That's the way Jonathan Kreisberg teaches it, with the triplet: 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, and he has a whole battery of exercises. For instance, for this particular rhythm, here we go, or maybe. So this is all as my Music Masterclass video that you can get of him doing polyrhythmic stuff. I learned about this first of all in a workshop of his that he was doing. And now you can also have a displaced triplet. So and in that case, instead of lining up on 1 and 3, it lines up on 2 and 4. And you can combine both of them together. So that pushes us towards a rhythm known usually in jazz as the bembe clave, or the bembe bell pattern, which is from Afro-Cuban music and is the way we would typically play a jazz Afro-Cuban waltz, right? Tunes like Under African Skies by Mike Brecker, that kind of thing. And this is basically so the rhythm is I should do it on my coffee cup to demonstrate. Okay, you can sing that while you play the guitar in 4. It gives you that nice sort of laid back kind of triplety swing feel. I can use this as a basis for phrasing patterns as well. So I mean, if you listen to Wes Montgomery play anything like Willow Weep for Me, any kind of slow 1280 thing, or Billie Holiday, try singing this bembe pattern over the top and you'll see how it locks in. It's a great rhythm. Okay, that's a good thing to do. So you find all of those ideas helpful. Some of them are much easier than others. Most people find the triplet stuff and the bembe stuff very difficult at first. Even counting through a simple guitar part or melody or something, let alone a solo line, can be very difficult. And listening to yourself making mistakes rhythmically while you record yourself and then count through it can be extremely discouraging at first. Don't be discouraged. These things are not easy. I've had to work on them a lot, even to get to the point where I am, whatever point that is. And the more I learn about rhythm, the fresh challenges there always are. Or that sounded a bit like Yoda, but the more I find out about rhythm, the more challenges there are to explore and embrace. And actually, the whole thing is fun. I mean, who wouldn't want to be a drummer, for instance? You know, it's great. It's the best thing you can possibly do with your time, in my opinion. And we should all aim to be drummers on our instruments. Which I suppose takes me to the last point, which is that learning percussion is a great thing to do. Whether you play in a samba, bateria, or you learn some Cuban percussion, maybe learn djembe and learn some Ghanaian rhythms, for instance. It's all great stuff, and I would recommend it highly. Any kind of rhythmic stuff you can do. Otherwise, it does just become a very scientific matter of sitting down with a metronome and trying to lock in with it, which, while it's important, is not necessarily what rhythm is and what it gives us in the human soul, which is something quite different. Plus, you know, if you fancy getting your dancing shoes on as well, that's always a good idea. You can go to salsa classes, you can go and learn how to swing dance, all of that kind of stuff. Any kind of thing that involves coordination and rhythm is great. Drumming, of course, again, you know, kick drumming. It's to coordinate the different sides of your body, and as a person who's completely mal-coordinated myself, this is always a challenge. But it's a pleasurable challenge, and I enjoy doing it, and I hope you do too. Thanks for watching.